the worst backbiting is in the people of knowledge, the ulama. They say luhum al-ulama masmuma, that the flesh of the scholars is poison, sumun qatil. So that's the worst form. And this includes also the scholars talking about other scholars, because there's hasad and things. So it's a warning to the scholars as well, because they might, oh, so-and-so, such and such, and there's hasad there. And they have to be very careful. All of us have to be very careful about that, because if Allah has given them sacred knowledge, then that's a hibah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's one of the great gifts. And somebody who's given the Quran, hamalatul Quran ahlullah wa khasatuhu. The people that carry the Quran are the people of Allah, and they are His elect. Now, the hamalatul Quran, most of the ulama say that does not mean people that simply memorize the Quran. And although in our tradition, those people are still honored, but the hamarat al-Quran are the people that memorize it, learn the fiqh of the Quran, the hudud of Quran, and apply it in themselves. So those are the people that really carry the Quran, because the Quran warns us about كَمَثَلَ الْحِمَارِ يَحْمِلُ أَسْفَارًا, that about the previous people who had the revelation, but they didn't practice it. And so they carried it like the donkey carries books. They're not benefiting from it. And so the Quran warns to be like one of those.
نعم من المندوب بث ما يكن من الكرامات وسمته الحسن. Indeed, from among the recommended matters is spreading the miracles of the people of Allah and mentioning their excellent natures and paths.
So, and then one other thing, Imam al-Ghazali mentions that people will not speak about the people of Allah except that their hearts will die before they die. Because it's a poison, it's a spiritual poison, and so your heart will die. And one of the things that you'll see, that people that speak about the awliya, and there's people that do that they'll actually speak publicly about some of the great awliya of the past, making fun of them, and like Muhyiddin ibn Arabi, calling him Mahi ad-Din, the obliterator of the religion, things like that. That's very dangerous to do, because those people, and even the ones that have khilaf, which includes Ibn Taymiyyah, because there's also the people on the other side, because the both sides of this argument do the same thing. So you have people that will write whole books about Ibn Taymiyyah and other scholars that they don't agree with, but you can point out the faults of scholars. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you make fun of them and use alqab and do istihza, it's very dangerous. Ibn Taymiyyah, you can disagree with certain positions he took, many of the ulama did. Ibn Arabi, many of the ulama did. And some of them wrote polemics against him. Other ones defended him. So there's khilaf about them. But for the common people to get involved in these things and attacking them, just leave them alone. Leave them alone. You have no business. Raghib al-Isfahani says that it's makruh for the scholars to argue amongst each other. It's haram for the common people. And the Prophet ﷺ said, I guarantee a place في ربض الجنة لمن ترك المراء وكان محقا. I will guarantee a place in paradise for the في ربض الجنة, for the one who leaves off argumentation, and he's on the right. And then he said, and I will guarantee a place in the highest portion of Jannah for the one who has good character, husn al-khuluq. So, and then he says, and it's mandub also to tell about the karamat. And this is, it's important to, especially the karamat that are well known, they're famous, like Imam al-Rifa'i or Sidi Abdul Qadir al-Jilani. It's important, and this is because it strengthens the iman of people to know that miracles are in the ummah. like the miracle of Sidi al-Mawaq with the minister, the Christian minister, which is recorded in many books, and Ahmed Baba Timbuktu mentions that these are important. And some of the ulama, I experienced, for instance, on more than one occasion, clear kashf from Marabt al-Hajj. So you can tell people about that, because it's not, you can read things in a book, but if you experience it yourself, it's very different. And so you tell people, and it strengthens their iman. And Sidi Banis was telling us something that happened the other day, and your iman goes up when they tell you these. So, and then also, man yakun min al-karamati wa samti al-hasan. So also about the beautiful qualities of a person. I'll give you an example. One of the things, this really affected me. I was reading a book by one of the students of Imam al-Haddad, Abdullah al-Haddad, the Mujaddid. And he was famous for his humility and really following prophetic practice. But I was reading a book that somebody gave me in Al-Ahsa. They printed it in Al-Ahsa. And it was one of the ulama from Al-Ahsa who spent time journeying with Habib Abdullah al-Haddad in Hadramaut. This is a few hundred years ago. And he said they came to a village, and Imam al-Haddad, after Fajr, that when they were leaving the masjid, all the villagers came out to greet him. And he greeted every single one of these men, took their hand and said something to them, and then they each left. And when they finished, and this took a long time, and when they finished, the man from Al-Ahsa said to Imam al-Haddad, "Kanat takfika ishara." You know, it would have been enough just to wave to them. And he said, "Why were they waiting to greet me?" And he said, "Yahsubuka min awliya illah." You know, they think that you're from the people of Allah. And he said, "Shouldn't I think the same about them? Shouldn't I think the same about them? La khayra fi sahibin la yara fika ma tara fihi." There's no good in a companion that doesn't see in you what you see in him. So their husn al-dhan with him necessitated his husn al-dhan with them. That they had a good opinion about him meant that he should have the same opinion about them. And so that's one of the benefits. That had a big impact on me when I read that. That's the benefit of telling about their simt. The simt is their way. But it also means their spiritual presence. So the simt, it can also be something that you detect in them. It's a type of beauty that they have that's not a physical beauty. And this is something amazing about the people of Allah, is that you can see people of Allah who would be normally considered ugly, but they're very beautiful. And you'll actually look at them and see beauty. And if you normally just their features, you wouldn't think that about them. But Allah makes them beautiful. And then you'll see people that would normally be personable, but when you see them, they're ugly because of their actions. So there's a spiritual beauty that can manifest in a person's physical appearance. And the Prophet ﷺ said, "Altamisu du'a 'inda mahasini wujuhikum." Seek dua with people that have good faces. And he didn't just mean that, but the ulama say, even in the tartib of imamah, that you put people that have good appearance. And that's part of it, the simt. So leadership, there's a reason why the prophets all had beautiful faces.